This is Billa Rajender, lecturer in English, Government Degree College Mantani, District Peddapalli. Today we are going to discuss about the second unit of the lesson, the students. It's a essay written by M.K. Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, to students. That means here M.K. Gandhi addresses to the students on purity of life and truthfulness, and how truthfulness is to be examined in their life, and how a man, it means how a student has to build up his character through his environment and through his religion, through his education, and all those things. So many students have no clear, that means many students have first of all, we would like to go through with some brief introduction about the Gandhiji. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, reverently addressed as Mahatma and the father of nation, was one of the most influential thinkers, and political leader and a political leader that the country has ever produced. His name is synonymous with the principles of truth, satyagraha, non-violence, and he is the only one man in the entire world who had adopted non-violence against, that means non-violence in the entire world, and with the help of this non-violence movement, we gained freedom for India. They were his weapons. That means non-violence and satyagraha. They were his weapons during the Indian freedom movement in the world riddled with war, rifts, and conflicts. The principles are cherished by all who love peace. In the world riddled with wars and rifts and conflicts, the principles of this Mahatma Gandhi was cherished, and they all who love peace, and they all loved peace. He never survived, swerved from his principles, and practiced what he preached. Gandhi ji is also a popular writer. He is, we can see that his autobiography, My Experiment with Truths, is the testimony to his our principles. So we come across a number of principles according to the Mahatma Gandhi's life, and he is a good writer as well as he is a good thinker and a politician. Many students have no clear idea about the purpose of education and knowledge. They tend, they tend to follow blindly others. That means, as we know that the essay is based on the two things, that is truthfulness and innocence. So by the truthfulness, you can find your life beautiful, and by the innocence, innocence is one of the key factor for learning everything. Why? Because if you think that if you say that I am innocent about the knowledge of the particular situation, particular thing, then someone is going to explain you about what the particular thing is and what about the concept is. So here, if you say that I know about the I know about the situation, I know about the incident, I know about this particular thing, I know about this matter. If you say like this, no one can going to explain anything about the particular issue. So, innocence, if you say that I don't know anything, I want to learn. That means as students has to do, and they have to go, they have to go for their life in a way that they don't know anything. That means they have to think themselves that they don't know anything. And as a teacher we are also we don't we I, that means in this world no one is perfect. In this world, in any concept, in any matter, no one is perfect. According to this we have to understand that the truth or innocence can be gained so much of a name and fame to all of us, because with the innocence we are going to concentrate on learning process. So if I say that I know everything, I don't want. That means I don't want to learn anything, and I really tell the fact that we cannot learn anything. But if I say that I don't know anything, with the sense of innocence, it can be easily understood that we don't know anything and we want to learn something. Like all the students have to adopt the truth and innocence, and truthfulness is the key to the pure life. Truthfulness is key to a pure life, and since our civilization is now primarily rural, and the students need to understand the village life in order to fulfill its requirement. Truthfulness is the key to pure life. Truthfulness is the key to a pure life, and we have to understand the requirements of the fulfill to students. And students have no idea about the education and knowledge. Many students have no clear idea about the purpose of education and knowledge, and they tend to follow others. They blindly tend to follow others like sheeps. That means if a sheep fell into the well, then all the sheep follows in the same way. And like each and everyone, we can come to know that Robert Browning in one of his poems, the last, the mending, I don't remember the poem, but what it may be here, he would like to say that everyone reaches a crucial point, but from the crucial point, they have to select for the choice. That means everyone has to select a different way. Like Gandhiji adopted a different way of non-violence and satyagraha that he was succeeded in his life, and we have also we should also follow a different method of approach towards our life. Why? Because if we can go through with a different method of approach of our life, we can definitely get success in our life. Like that, don't try to follow blindly others. As we are all the students, we can follow others, but whatever it may be, don't try to follow blindly others. Why? Because if you follow blindly others, they can it's just like a sheep. So it's a big problem for anyone else. And education is aimed to bringing the enlightenment among the students. Education is aimed at bringing the enlightenment among the students. And what is the purpose of education? Just we have to know what is the purpose of education. What is the purpose of education that we have to know. And here, education is aimed at bringing enlightenment of the students among students. And have you ever pondered over the fact that religions have the positive impact in building one's character? That means all religions have a positive impact in building one's character, but we don't want to follow about the religion, what is religion about, and how it's going to impact, how it's going to implement the religion's values. It's all we don't care anything about all these things. So religion can, that means ever ponder all religions have positive impact in building one's character, but students should take part in politics, as well as they have to ever thought about this importance of truthful dealing in building the vibrant nation. That means if you want to build the nation, they have to go through with the they have to go through with the vibrant nation, and they have to build the character, and they have to participate in politics. The views of the father of nation and a great mobilizer, the masses as are relevant on this matter as ever. Then Gandhi presents some clear ideas before us as student community for acquiring knowledge and expound on the purpose of gaining such knowledge. So taking things as they are, we have to consider what is possible for students to do and what more we can do in order to serve the country. So many people they think that they wanted to they want something. That means they need something in way of that means in a normal way they can ask like this: what the country had given to us. what the country had given to us. And no one says that what the service I have to do for my country. So taking things as they are, students are perfectly. That means all the students and almost all so many people, they think that we are ready to take what are the things are they are, and we don't want to change anything else. And we have to consider what is the possible for students to do, and what more we can do in order to serve the country. That means they have to serve the country, and they don't want to think about the other things like what are the possibilities and what they have to consider, and they have to consider the possibilities for student, and don't try to make the things in a different way like that. I can say that people, the students really they wanted to serve the country, but they don't want to they really not tend to take the things they are. Why? Because if they are habituated to habituated for the thing, take things what they are, and they don't want to do anything for the country as well as their family also. So each and everyone has to think about the service of the nation, and how he is going to help for the help, how he is going to do some of the help to the nation. That's the most important thing. Then the answer is that has come to me, and to many who are eager to see that the student world give a good account of itself, is that students have to search within and look after their personal characters. So each and every student has to look after their personal character, and so what it may be, are they really wanted to serve the country or not? So if you think about that, the answer is only one thing, that, and the answer is to me and to many also. They are eager to see that the students would give good account of itself. That means they can make changes. They can make changes like they can challenges. They can want to. They will serve the country in a way that no one can do. That means students has the power. Students has the power to do anything, and the students has to search within and look after their personal character. That means they have to be look after the personal character. That means the students, the primary duty of a student is to be education. That means learning something, whether they are going to learn from anything else, whatever they may be. We can think that students primary duty of a student is learning something like that. They have to go through with their account of character, good character, and they are eager to see that the students would give, and they have to look after their own personal character, whether they are uh, going through with the good characteristic, good uh, attitudes of the character or not. Then we can look after the purity, and purity of the personal life is one of the indispensable condition for building a sound of education. Purity of personal life, that is one is only one indispensable condition for building a sound education. That means education can be give us to learn so many things. Education is give us give us knowledge, but purity of your personal life, that means how you are going to make your purity. That means how you are going to present your purity and chastity of your life, that may be most important for each and every learner in the form of education. And my meetings with the thousands of students and correspondence with I continuously have with the students, in which they pour out their innocent feelings and take me into their confidence to show me quite early, so quite clearly, that there is much left to be desired. At the end of all knowledge must be building up the character. So, Mahatma Gandhi's interaction with thousands of students, he corresponded and continuously have chatted with so many students, and they pour their innocent feelings, innocent questions, and innocent behavior that may take into their confidence, and they have to be very. That is, that shows me clearly that there much left to be desired. They have to be. very desired and they really wanted to learn so many things. And that may be what I can understand. End of the all the knowledge must be bringing up the character. So end of the knowledge, that means whatever the, that means we try to learn so many things with education. Education gives us knowledge, and with this knowledge we have to build up our character. We have to build up our character. As I was studying Christianity, Hinduism, and other great faiths of the world, I saw there was the fundamental unity of moving amidst an endless variety of we see in all religions, namely truth and innocence. So whatever your religion may be, whatever the holy books, we can go through with the Christianity Bible, we can go through with Hinduism's Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, whatever may be, and the great faiths like um, Muslims, Quran. For Muslims, we can see their holy book is Quran, and whatever may be, there are all the religions, all the religion books, all the religion and all the great books. What we can say that holy books, they may represent the fundamental unity and moving amidst a variety of in all regions. Only they fall. That means they are all based on only one important thing, that is truth and innocence. Truth and innocence. Don't try to lie in your life. And innocence can give you knowledge. Innocence can give you knowledge, and truth can be give you and tell you that you may be a good character. You must take the word innocence literally. That is to mean non-killing and non-violence. And if you boys and girls will take you understand indefinitely, always on truth and innocence, you will feel that you have to build a solid foundation on your ability. That means you must know the word innocence literally. That means you have to take the word innocence literally. Why? Because all the time you have to respect, you have to say that I don't know anything. That innocence can give you a plenty of knowledge. Otherwise, if you say that I can have, I can know, I know, then you don't have any knowledge about the particular things. So try to take innocence literally, and non-killing, non-violence, that you boys and girls follow and take to stand indefinitely always for the truth and innocence, and you will feel that you have to build a solid foundation about your character. So that can give you a build of character. And the truthfulness is the master key. And don't lie to other in any circumstances whatsoever. Keep nothing secret. Take your teachers and elders into your confidence and make clean breast for everything to them. Students should realize that the importance of the purity of personal life, which on the basis of acquiring education. It means education has to be acquired by student, and they had to realize the importance of the purity of life, purity of personal life, and the truthfulness is the master key. Don't lie in any circumstances. Keep the secret of your teachers and keep respect for your elders also, and make them raised from everything. Try to learn something from them and bear it all. Bear ill will to none, and do not say an evil thing if anyone behind his back. Above all, to thine own self be true, so that you are false and true, no one is else. Truthful dealing, even in the last little things of life, is the secret of pure life. And I say that evil things, and don't allow any student has to go through with the evil things in their life. And it's all anyone behind his back. They have to be left it, and they have to left for their own back. And all above, thine own be true. Try to think yourself that you should be only a true, and you always remain as a true personality while you are building your character. And if you are false, not, no one else do. That means if you are making any false statements, no one else can respect you, and it's not on the right, it is not the right base of the building your character. truthful dealing in the last little thing is little, at least that means the last little things of the life is only secret of pure life. So I say that the boys and girls never lose faith in God. That means try to believe in God. Try to believe in God, and therefore in yourself, and remember that you always refuse to a single evil thought, a sinful and a single sinful thought. Remember that you lack that faith. That means if you lose your faith in God, definitely you are going to lose your faith on you also. So try to remember yourself and be confident whatever you want, and be be truthful to your life, and try to remember that you are therefore for yourself, and you are not therefore for anything else. Don't lie under any circumstances whatsoever. And believe in faith, believe in God, believe in yourself, and be confident. And don't try to do any single evil thoughts. Don't try to allow the thought of single evils in your mind and single sinful thought to your mind. Remember that you lock the, if you can lose, if you can allow the single evil thought in your mind, you will definitely lose your faith. So, untruthfulness and uncharitableness, violence and sensuality, all these things are stranger to the faith. Truthfulness, untruthfulness, uncharitableness. That means untruthfulness means without uh, living. That means living without with truth, without truths, and speaking without truths, speaking truth without truths. Uncharitableness, no one can believe you that, and violence, sensuality. These are all the things that has to avoid as a student, and these are all the things that is the strangers, the faith. Remember that we have in this world no enemy greater than ourselves, because a man who always act himself as his enemy, and he creates situations like a dealing enemy in his life, and he moves and he behaves like a different personality to get his enemies, and he himself mold his enemies. And remember that we have to, in the world no one is enemy greater than ourselves. And the Bhagavad Gita that proclaims in it almost everything else was. And if I was to sum up the teaching Sermon the Mount, and I would like to find the same answer by reading the Quran, and had led me the same in the conclusion. That means if I read Bhagavad Gita, if I read Quran, if I read Bible, whatever it may be, at last we come to know the same conclusion at the end we can find in all the holy books. That's what all the holy books represents, and I would find the answer and the conclusion. No one can harm us so much of was what as we can ourselves. That means we try to harm ourselves only, and no one really try to harm anyone else. And if you are therefore we have brave boys and brave girls, you will fight desperately and violently against the whole brood of these thoughts. So you are only enemy. That means we can say that your selfishness and your ego, these are all the enemies of your life. So if you can behave selfishness, some extent you can find enemies, and if you can go through with the egos, you can also find enemies. So you are only one person, you who can harm you yourself more than any other else, more than any one other else. So brave boys and girls, desperately you have to fight desperately against the whole brood of these things, these thoughts. That means don't allow to come the bad and sinful thoughts in your mind. So no sinful act was ever done in this world without the prompting a sinful thought. And you have to exercise strict vigilance over every thought welling up in your breast. And I have experimented with quite a number of boys and girls in order to understand how best the impart to religious instruction, and well, I found that book instruction was somewhat an aid by itself was useless. So what it may be, I experimented with quite number of boys and girls. That means Mahatma Gandhi explains that he experimented quite number of boys and girls in his way of life, and he found that instructions of somewhat aid by itself was useless, and religious instructions useless. I discovered was imparted by the best by teachers living in religions themselves, and I have found that the students imparable more than the teacher's own life than what they do from the books that they read to them or to the lecture that they deliver to them with their lips. So that blindly, that means we can say that students can blindly follow the teachers, and they are imparted by the teachers what their religion they living in the religion themselves. And another important thing is that teachers are more impalpable, imbible of their books, or when the students are going to read, they can understand the books, and moreover, the lecture delivered by the teachers can have great impact. And I have discovered that to my great joy, and the boys and girls have unconsciously a faculty of penetrations whereby they lead the thought of their teachers. So another discovery is my great joy. My great joy in boys and girls unconsciously a faculty of penetration where they read the thoughts of their own teachers. So if they read the thoughts of their own teachers, they can be penetrated. And oh to the teacher, and who teaches one thing with his lip. So respect your teachers and bend before your teachers, because they teach you life, they teach you knowledge, they teach you education, and carries another of his breast. And all your scholarship and all your study of Shakespeare, Wordsworth would be in vain if you can behave in a different way. Then what is the use of your teachers, and what is the use of getting knowledge from your teachers and your scholarship? That means your education. If you don't have any good character in the society, then what about your experience? What about your scholarship? What about your study of Shakespeare? What about your study of Wordsworth? It's all failed in vain. And if at the same time you do not build your character and attain mastery over your thoughts and actions, when you have attained the self mastery and learn to control your passions, and you will not to utter notes of despair. You will not utter the notes of despair. That means try to build up your characters, and won't, if you have same time and not do not build your character and attain the mastery over your thoughts and actions, you will be not a good character. And when you have to attain self mastery and learn to control your passions, try to control your passions. That means you should have you should have control about your mind at first. That means if you control your mind, then it can be your mastery. And if you feel utter the notes of despair, that can be your mastery. So how mastery can attain? If you can control your mind, if you can control your passions, if you can control everything, that you can made you a good master, that we can make you a good mastery. And we are inheritors of ruleless relations, and the vastness of our country and the vastness of our population in the situation and the climate the country have, in my opinion, destined for the rural civilization. And that means here he would like to explain, Mahatma Gandhi is going to explain, we are all the inheritors of rural civilizations. That means India is always has a rural civilization, and the vastness of our country and the vastness of population, they live in only rural life. And the climate and the country may have, in my opinion, distant with the rural life. That means the rural life is the pure life, and it's a better life for anyone else. And its defects are all we known, but no one of them is irremediable. So we know about the discomforts in the rural, but what it may be, they are irremediable, and to uproot and its substitute for its an urban civilization seems to be an impossibility. That means the uproot of the substitution cannot be done by because of the urban civilization is different and rural civilization is different, and seems to be an impossibility unless we are prepared to drastic means to reduce the population from the 300 millions to 300 millions, and say that even 30, and I can before suggest you remedies an assumption that we must perpetuate to present our rural civilizations and endeavor. So here, truthful dealing, even in the least little things of life, is only the secret of pure life. Then we come to know that yes, about the rural life, and he suggests all the students has to go for the rural life, and to uproot and the substitute for your urban civilization seems to be an impossibility unless we are prepared by some drastic means and reduce the population from the 300 millions to 300 millions. That means whatever may be, the population in the rural life, maybe we can see, we can observe, and how they are going to live their life. And I can therefore drastic means to reduce the population, and even I can therefore suggest the remedies and its knowledge acknowledged defects. This can only done by if youth of the country will settle down to village life. So if the country has to be, that means the distance between the rural and urban life has to be made so much differences. If the people, that means the students who are really wanted to settle down, I suggest all the students has to settle down in rural civilization, and that can made a drastic changes. And to get rid of its knowledge and its life, and if they will do this, they must reconstruct their life and pass every day on their vacation in the receiving any, and should think of settling down in villages, and everyone has to think about settling down in villages. And on the basis of all these things, we have to be finished with their education. After finishing of their education, simply they have to go, that means simply they have to go for rural civilization, and they have to settle down. They can rebuild the characters, and they rebuild the drastic changes about the rural life. And I can't, this can only be done, this can only be done if the youth of the country will settle down in the villages and village surroundings of their colleges and high schools, and those who have finished their education. And another suggestion is that all the students has to go for a trip, or not receiving village, that means if they have any vacations, they have to village, they have to go for village surroundings and their colleges and high schools. And those who have finished their education are not receiving any should think about settle down in the villages, and let them penetrate with villages and find an ultimate scope for service and research and true knowledge. Professors would also, well, not to be burdened either boys and girls in literally in studies during the vacation, but prescribe them to educate out things in villages, and vacations must be utilized for recreation and never for memorizing books. So uh, Gandhiji suggests that he says that knowledge cannot be gained from books also. It can gained in the rural life, from the rural life. And if the students who are completed their education, they have to go for settlement, settle down in village. Otherwise the some students who can have short-term vacations, they have to spend their life in the villages, and they have to go for the penetrating of villages and find an unlimited scope for service, unlimited scope for service and research. Then truth, knowledge can be acquired. And all the professors and teachers, they are also not able to burden. They should not give burden to the students. Why? Because they students must learn something literally. and boys and girls, they have to go for the vacation and prescribed education outings in the village, and they must utilize the for recreation and never memorizing books. And I think I have written often enough to strive with students pupils and accept the rarest of the occasions. I hold it to be quite wrong that a part of students and people to take part in political demonstrations and part in politics. So what it may be, it's not a uh, big issue. That means I think often we are striking by the students of the people, except the rarest occasions. So they hold to be quite wrong, and they have to take part in the politics, and the people has to take part in the politics and demonstrate the politics of party politics. Such ferment unfairness with serious study and makes students unfit for solid work as future citizens. And I have special claim upon students. That means he has a special interest on students, and they upon me they can also have special interest on Mahatma Gandhi also, and regard myself the still a student as also because from the very of commencement of my return to India. So what it may be, he always feels that he is also a student. And when he returned to India, he feels that he is a new student. And I have been in close touch with them, and many of them have served the cause of Satyagraha. That means so many times I have done Satyagraha, and in this Satyagraha, so many people, that means so many pupils, so many students, they are helped me in this freedom moment. Therefore, even the whole students, even the whole world were repudiate, repudiate me for the cause, and which they are very nature in the must be temporary, and I am not going to be deterred by tendering my advice for fear of rejection. So what it may be, therefore, in the whole the student world were repudiate for me for the causes. That means each and every where we have to find the causes and the reasons for, and whatever it may be, they have to go for the measurement must be very in nature must be temporary, and I am not giving to be deterred by tendering my advice for fear of rejection. So don't try to reject anything, and try to work hard and try to get good uh, results in your hard work, and don't go for the fear in your life. Students cannot afford to a party politics. Students should not go through with the party politics, and they may all hear all parties are the read and all sorts of books, but their business is to assimilate the truth of all and resists the violence. Rejects the violent balance. That means all the parties has read as they read all sorts of books. That means try to read the parties first and try to read the books first, but their business is to assimilate the truth. That means they have to the all the parties' business is to assimilate the truth and reject their balance. That is the only worthy attitude of a student. That is only worthy attitude of a student. Then that can make in our life. Power politics should not be known to students' world. Immediately, they should not enter into the power politics after their education or while they are in it, while they are studying. Immediately, they dabble in their classwork, they cease to be students and will, therefore, fail to serve the country in this its crisis. Let them, therefore, think of 50 times before they are rejecting my advice. So Gandhiji is advising all the students has to participate in politics, and they are to tend to work, and they are to tend to went for the service, and they are to know the reality in literally, not in the form of books. And he suggests that students has to visit the villages, and they have to recreate themselves. They have to think about the life, village life, and how important it should be. And they have to think about the service in the life of a student. Then, um, from this, I would like to conclude my session.